what we're going to talk about today.
I want to talk to you. Many Muslims tell me that I worship a limited God. That Jesus is a limited God and I worship him. But today we're going to discuss several different things that Allah doesn't do. But Yahweh, the God of the Bible, does do.
I like this. Did you all hear that? Yes. So we're going to do whether or not God of the Bible is limited or God of the Qur'an is limited. Who is the more limited God? Allah of the Qur'an or Yahweh of the Bible? Yahweh versus Allah, right?
So,
okay, help me help. What's your first idea?
First thing might seem a bit frivolous, but I'm going to come back to it at the end. The first thing is that Allah cannot lift weights. The reason why Allah can't lift weights is in order to lift a weight, he would have to subject himself to a gravitational field. And this would not befit his glory.
So he'd have to enter time and space.
Yes.
He'd have to come to earth.
Yeah, that's right, and he can't do that.
Allah cannot come to earth.
So he can't lift weights.
Can Yahweh come to earth?
Yeah. Jesus came to earth and he was a carpenter for many years and he would have to lift the wood and he was therefore physically strong.
So he's stronger than Allah.
Yes.
Jesus is stronger than Allah. Because not only was he on earth, not only was he in time and space, but he was able to do what Allah cannot do.
That's right.
Okay?
Go ahead. Who's greater, God or Satan?
God is always greater. And always go on. What's the next point?
Satan can sin.
So what's the next point?
Well, we've been already discussing it. Come to earth.
What kind
so
of
he came to earth. What's that?
My God came to earth in the form of Jesus at Christmas, which we celebrate at Christmas time. But Allah never comes to earth. It doesn't befit his glory.
Now look at Doug. I've had many Muslims say, Allahu Akbar, God. Allah is the greater, right?
Yeah.
But Allah cannot come to earth.
That's
as
right.
soon as they say that, they've contradicted themselves, haven't they?
Limited him.
Because if God cannot come to earth, then he's limited.
Absolutely.
So then they ask me, are you saying that my God can go to the toilet? Can my God go to the toilet?
Yes.
Can Allah go to the toilet?
Oh.
Can you go to the toilet? So you're greater than Allah.
Yes.
Every one of you.
Allah.
Can you see how illogical it is?
Can you lie?
Please stop limiting God. Now they tell me that God cannot eat. Now that's in Surah 5.
That's my next point. Eating and drinking.
Okay, so Surah 5, Ayah 75. What does it say about Allah?
Well, God cannot eat, I believe, it says.
Now, why do you have a problem with that?
Eating and drinking is one of the pleasures of life. Both the Muslim heaven and in the Christian heaven, eating and drinking is one of the things we have to look forward to. Christians eat and drink on earth. Jesus, when he came to earth, he ate and drank many times with his disciples at the Last Supper, with Matthew in his house, with Zacchaeus in his house. Jesus, our God, eats and drinks.
Because he was a man.
Even in heaven, I believe, we will have a feast, the wedding feast of the Lamb, where God will be there eating and drinking.
Now, can you eat and drink?
Oh, yes, I can.
But Allah cannot eat or drink.
He cannot.
So that makes you greater than Allah.
Yeah.
Can you see, in every case, when you limit God, that makes us greater than God, doesn't it?
You're right, Stacy.
Please stop limiting God.
Jay, can you go lie?
Get a bigger God.
Can you go lie?
Oh, his name is Jesus.
No.
His name is Jesus. What a God we got. So already you've now shown Allah cannot enter time and space, or God can. Allah can't go to the toilet, or God can. Allah cannot eat, or God can.
Our God has physical strength. Allah does not.
Our God can lift, and Allah cannot lift a thing. Allah is incapable of lifting anything.
Yes.
So what else do you have?
Directly communicate with people.
Allah doesn't need to be jealous. Your God is jealous God.
I love this.
Your God is a jealous
So
God.
what you're saying,
Can God
for
be
God
jealous?
to be truly God, He
For
should be
what?
able to talk to you and me.
Well, my God can directly talk to us. Even in the New
Do you believe that God can talk to you?
Yes.
Do you believe that God can talk to you? Can Allah talk to you? Can Allah talk to you? Do you notice they're going quiet?
Yeah, quiet.
Because Allah cannot talk to
For
us.
examples, was Jesus was in the Garden of Eden talking with Adam and Eve. Jesus spoke with Abraham, with Jacob.
Was he also not eating with Abraham?
Yes, he ate
Was
with
he not talking with Abraham?
Yeah, he talked with
So
Abraham.
they say that they have the God of Abraham. Then why don't they ask Abraham? Why don't they ask Abraham who was eating with him? Because Abraham would tell him, wouldn't he?
Yeah, the second person, the Son.
And what would Abraham do? What would Abraham say?
He would reject Allah.
And he would say,
Allah.
I was eating with God.
Yes.
In front of the 10th Amendment.
Yeah, in front of
That's the God we're talking about. We got a big God!
Even God the Father directly speaks to us. When Jesus was baptized, he announced who his son was. And then when the three disciples went up the mountain with Jesus, God even spoke to them there from there. God the Father spoke to them there. But Allah doesn't speak. He only sends angels to speak to people.
Okay, so you've shown that the God of the Bible can enter time and space. The God of the Bible can eat. The God of the Bible can lift anything he wants. The God of the Bible can do what we can do, but even greater.
Yes.
Now, just pay attention to me, Doug. Don't pay attention to them. So you're saying that there's something totally different about the God of the Bible versus the God of the Quran.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to come to some conclusions at the end.
Okay, let's continue on. What else can you tell me about the God of the Bible versus the God of the Quran?
My God provides me with a sinless model to live by. Jesus came and he was sinless. Even the Quran says Jesus was sinless. The Bible certainly says that. And he's my example to live by. Muhammad is the example for the Muslim, and he wasn't sinless. So Allah does not provide a sinless model to live by.
Okay, are you getting what he's saying? So in every category, God is sinless. Only Jesus has been sinless to the history of mankind.
Yes.
Even the Quran agrees that Jesus is sinless. So in the category of sin, Jesus is superior. Allah cannot even enter time and space to even know what sin's about. But God knows what sin's all about, doesn't he?
Right, yes.
More than that, the God of the Bible can come and communicate with you and me.
Yes.
Which means he has a relationship with us.
Absolutely, he
Can
does.
Allah
Yes.
have a relationship with mankind?
Not in the same way. No
He
way,
is
no.
totally distant, totally other. No one ever knows him. No one's ever seen him.
Only Allah went once. Muhammad went up to heaven to speak to him. Not that I believe that, but that's
That's a
what the
fairy
Quran
tale.
teaches. Yeah,
No,
it's
that's a fairy tale.
like, yes.
Surah 17, Ayah 1. There was no mosque in Jerusalem when Muhammad was living. So you
Right.
know that's a fairy tale.
Oh, yeah,
It goes against history. You're a historian. You know you can pretty well refute that. But let's get back to these categories. In every category you have shown me today, Doug, when we look at Allah versus Yahweh, Yahweh can do what Allah
Allah
cannot.
can't do,
Let's
yes.
review what you've told me.
Go one more.
Got one more.
My God can do miracles on earth. Jesus came and did many, many miracles. And more than that, he says that his followers will do even greater than him. And many of his followers did do miracles after him. Muhammad, and I'm not sure I believe this, Muhammad only did one miracle, which was bring the Quran. And that's not a miracle to be repeated.
That Muhammad had anything to do with the Quran.
No, I actually believe
I don't see
it.
any takers today. How many of you believe, even if he did have something to do with the Quran, that the Quran's a miracle?
Questionable.
Look at the Quran and look at the Bible. There's no comparison. This book only has one complete story. The Bible has every story is complete. This book doesn't begin. This book doesn't end. This book is full of contradiction. The God in this book I don't recognize.
No, definitely
look what it
different.
does to Jesus.
Very different to my
And
God.
takes him off the cross and put another man in his place. This is not my Jesus. You're rather clumsy today. You're losing your wires. Okay, everything we know about this book goes against what we know about the Bible. That's why we don't go to this book. This is a miracle?
No,
Folks, this is a
nowhere
hopeless
near.
book.
Yes,
And that's why
hopeless.
it cannot stand next to the Bible. And that's why we love the Bible. Because what does the Bible talk about? And who does the Bible
Jesus,
talk
all the
about?
way through the Bible is Jesus, focusing on Jesus on the cross.
From the very beginning to the very end. It's always pointing to Jesus.
So I got two conclusions. The first is Allah is very limited. There's many things I've listed today he can't do. Well, Jesus or Yahweh can do all these things, mainly through Jesus when he comes to earth. But my second conclusion is Without being able to do these things, Jesus would not have been able to go to the cross. Without having physical strength, he wouldn't have survived the whipping, let alone be nailed to a cross.
Are you hearing that? Brilliant. Okay.
Without being able to eat and drink, he wouldn't have had physical strength. Therefore, he needed to be able to do that in order to go to the cross.
Something Allah could not do. Jesus did any day, every day, all the time for you and me.
Even walking and talking on earth. If he wasn't able to do that, he would not have been able to go to the cross either. There would have been no reason. We wouldn't have hated him if he couldn't be able to preach to the people.
There you go, Doug. So in every category, when you do a comparison, in every case, we need a God who can come and enter time and space. We need a God who can communicate face to face.
Absolutely,
we need a God who can die on the cross. We need a God who can rise again. I want a God who I can trust. I want a God who dies for me. I want a God who rises again.
Absolutely.
And I want a God who welcomes me home.
Yes, we're
and in
looking
every
forward
case,
to
there's
being
only
with
one
him.
who can do that. Not
Absolutely.
Allah of the Quran, but Yahweh of the Bible.
Yeah,
The name of Jesus Christ. What is his name?
Jesus!
What's his name?
Jesus!
Say it again.
Jesus!
Can't hear you.
Jesus!
You love him, don't you?
Oh, I love him.